Let's begin our discussion for the day with three questions on life cycle costing. Okay, what is the budgeted life cycle cost per unit for product P? A manufacturing company which produces a range of products has developed a budget for the life cycle of a new product P. The information in the following table relates exclusively to product P. Design cost lifetime total 8 lakh, direct manufacturing cost 20 per unit, depreciation cost lifetime total 5 lakh, decommissioning cost 20,000, machine hours 4, this is per unit. Okay, this column is your per unit column, and the production and sales units lifetime total is 3 lakh. The company's total fixed production overheads are 72 million each year, and total machine hours are budgeted to be 96 million hours. The company absorbs overheads on a machine hour basis. Okay, so let's understand how to now get ahead with this question. Whenever you are approaching a question on life cycle costing, the question basically expects you to accumulate all the costs that you are expected to incur over the lifetime of the product. Okay, all the costs that you are expected to incur over the lifetime of the product, you have to accumulate them, and basis that number, you have to divide that by the total lifetime number of units that you expect to produce. That directly gives you your answer. Now, in this case, as you can see, there are two columns. Okay, one column specifically talks about the lifetime total values, and the other column, what does it talk about? It talks about the per unit numbers. So the numerator is already given to you. Just identify if there are any places in this calculation that where you will have to calculate the production cost, which is given per unit. You will have to calculate the total production cost. So there could be those areas where that calculation is required. So first thing that you should do is, first thing is, you should accumulate the lifetime cost in one place and then take it ahead from there. Okay, so in this situation, the lifetime totals are given to you. See if you can add them together, and let's start adding those up. Okay, so this is accumulation of lifetime costs. Design cost 8 lakh, lifetime total is given. Then direct manufacturing cost, how much? Production and sales units lifetime total is 3 lakh into 20 per unit. So this is what? This is 3 lakh units into 20 per unit. Then depreciation cost, this is also given to you, right? The lifetime total of depreciation cost is given to you, so you will have to add that up. ठीक है. One more zero. Then decommissioning cost 20,000. The company's total fixed production overheads are budgeted to be 72 million each year, and total machine hours are expected to be 96 million. The company absorbs overheads on a machine hour basis. Now, company's total fixed production overheads, not fixed production overheads for this item. The total fixed production overheads are budgeted to be 72 million each year, and total machine hours are budgeted to be 96 million. So the first thing that you should do is, you should calculate the overhead absorption rate. It is budgeted overheads upon budgeted output 72 million upon 96 million, right? Budgeted output, or sorry, budgeted machine hours होना चाहिए यहाँ पे. It's not on the basis of output. So budgeted machine hours. 24 3s are 72, 24 4s are 96. 0.75 per machine hour. Okay, now here you are making 3 lakh units and machine hour per unit is 4. Okay, so total machine hours for product P is 3 lakh units into 4 hours per unit, that is 12 lakh machine hours, and overheads absorbed is 12 lakh machine hours into 0.75 per hour. Okay, 9 lakh. So what do you have here? You have your fixed overheads. So my total lifetime costs are how much? Total lifetime costs are 82 lakh 20,000. Okay. And what is the budgeted output? Budgeted lifetime output. Okay. Is 3 lakh. So life cycle cost per unit is 27.4. This is how the calculation goes. Accumulation of lifetime cost. And you divide that by the total number of units, you will get life cycle cost per unit, which is 27.4. Now, in this question, there's nothing tough per se. The only thing you have to keep in mind is that these are the company's total fixed production overheads. You need the overheads absorbed for this item. That is one place where a small mistake can happen. Apart from that, everything is relatively straightforward. Okay, now let's look at another question. What is the life cycle cost per unit? A company has produced the following information for a product it is about to launch. The product is expected to have a life of 3 years. Variable production cost per unit, fixed production cost, variable selling cost per unit, fixed selling cost, administrative cost. What is the life cycle cost per unit? Okay, so let this be year 1, year 2, and year 3. Variable production cost per unit is 2.3, 1.8, 1.2. Write down expected sales units. Variable production cost per unit. So total variable production cost will be row A into row B, 4600, and so on and so forth. Then fixed production cost Write them down as it is. Those are given in the question. Fixed production cost, then variable selling cost per unit. You will have total variable selling cost, A, number of units, into E, selling cost per unit. Then fixed selling cost, administrative cost. And now you have to accumulate the total life cycle cost. Okay. So total lifetime cost. It will be row C, variable cost, plus row D, fixed cost, plus row F, that is variable selling cost, not C plus D plus F plus G plus H. C plus D plus F plus G plus H. This total 45,100, 14,000. So life cycle cost per unit, 3.22. Okay, have a look at the approach once. Okay, chalo.
क्या चाहिए बेटा?
Last question. Which of the following statements are true regarding the justification of life cycle costing? Product life cycles are becoming increasingly short. This means that the initial costs are an increasingly important component in the product's overall cost. Product costs are increasingly weighted to the start of a product's life cycle, and to properly understand the profitability of a product, these costs must be matched to ultimate revenues. The high cost of research, design, and marketing in the early stages in a product's life cycle necessitate a high selling price, and traditional capital budgeting techniques do not attempt to minimize the cost or maximize the revenue over the product life cycle. Now, there are four statements that they have given you, and they are asking you to tell whether these statements are true or false. Now, when a question like this comes in the exam, it is always, you have to pick one answer out of four. That is what you are supposed to do. Now, in this case, if you look at the first question, okay, product life cycles are becoming increasingly short. So, what impact are they talking about? They are saying that this means that the initial cost are an increasingly important component in the product's overall cost. See, if the product life cycles are short, what does that mean? That means you don't get that much time to, uh, make people aware of the product. You do not get so much time to, create that awareness. So you have to go on an aggressive front foot in terms of marketing, and the product model has to be really kick-ass for people to like it. So the first statement is correct that there is an increasing focus on the initial cost. Then product costs are increasingly weighted to the start of a product's life cycle, and to properly understand the profitability of a product, these costs must be matched to ultimate revenues. Now, see, the in any product's life cycle, at the initial phase, you are bound to incur more costs in terms of, as we discussed, R&D, in terms of marketing, in terms of promotion, in terms of product design. So they are more towards the start of the life cycle of the product, and as the product gets mature and it gets older, the marketing costs and all of these costs go down, which is why the second statement is also true. The high cost of research, design, and marketing of a product in the early stages in a product's life cycle necessitate a high selling price? No. Yesterday, if you remember, we saw this one question where it was very clearly written that, the question where we had the selling price as 8, the accountant was saying that the cost is 11, but then the life cycle cost became 2.42. So it does not necessitate a high selling price. In fact, the initial high costs are spread out over, although they are incurred at the beginning. In life cycle costing, you take the lifetime total and you divide by the total number of units. So cost per unit naturally gets lower, and it does not necessitate a high selling price. Traditional capital budgeting techniques do not attempt to minimize the cost or maximize the revenues over the product life cycle. So, capital budgeting techniques is basically to decide whether you should invest in a particular product or not. So, that has got absolutely nothing to do with minimization of cost or maximization of revenue. It is an investment appraisal technique and not really connected with the life cycle costing concept. So, the first two statements are true, and the last statement is false. So, just make sure that you pick the correct one. So this is how the true or false questions will go. Again, true or false will be tested in section A. Sometimes it gets tested in section B also. So be prepared for true or false, correct, incorrect, match the pair questions also in your PM paper.